Hi everyone. In this video, I provide you some tips on how to write the body of an academic paper. You've done a very wonderful job drawing on different research to write your literature review, and you have also uploaded the videos that you need for the presentation in class so you can get feedback from me and from your classmates, which is really great. So in this video, I am focusing more on how to write the body of an academic paper. So at the beginning of the class, I started with some tips on how to structure your sentence. I remember, I think in my first video that I shared with this class, I tried to open you up to what it means to write, how you should weave your sentences together in a way that they don't unnecessarily drone or confuse your reader. And I talked about using both short, medium, and long sentences and determining when to use all of those ones. So right now, my focus is going to be on opening you up to the technique of, engaging your audience and delving into the analysis of the idea that you're going to be talking about in your paper. So the body of a paper is where you reiterate specific claims and arguments based on the overall thesis statement or your research goal. So for example, I know some of you are looking at the hegemony of English language, for example, in African nation. So that is the overall goal of that paper. Now, the question you want to ask yourself is, what are the ideas that I want to come up with based on my research goal, based on the questions that you are raising from your paper? Each time you raise a question, it points your readers or your audience to specific problem that you're trying to explore in your paper. So how do you go about this? First, you started doing this, which is doing additional research on your topic. So by the additional research, how do you do that? You read a lot. You do a lot of reading on select papers that you feel connect well with your research idea, and then you take notes of what the authors are saying. What are your own thoughts about what those authors are saying? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think all that they have said really respond to the problem of the hegemony of English language in many multilingual nations of Africa, for example? You see, so and then based on your own thoughts, then you want to make specific arguments that, okay, this is my take on the hegemony of English in Africa, or this is my take on hegemony of English in a particular country that you're focusing on in Africa. And then remember, your literature review that you have submitted to me is more or less the introduction of your paper. So what you're doing in the body of your paper is that you're building on that. You're not taking your literature review away and writing another paper entirely. No. What you're doing is you're building on what you've already written in your literature review to now take your audience or your readers to see the arguments you're making based on what existing scholars have said in the area of your research topic. Remember, in your literature review, you bring all of these authors together in conversation, making us see what A has said and what B is saying and how what they're saying connects to your research. And towards the end of it, you made me see that, okay, this is what you think you're going to be looking at in your paper. However, remember, I gave you some feedback. So based on the feedback I gave you, go back and look at your literature review, see where you need to modify, things you need to change, whatever you need to move around to make sure you have a more coherent and a better written literature review section based on that feedback. And then after that, move over to the body of your paper. So now the question is, how do I now join the body of my paper to the existing literature review? First, consider your literature review as the introduction to your paper. And I already gave a video on how to write a literature review and what it means. You can also refer to that video to refresh your memory of what literature review is. And then after that, move on to, towards the end of your literature review, how to connect that to the body of your research is to give us a roadmap to your work. So for example, in Higgins' work, Higgins would say, in this chapter, I explain what intertextuality is. I also describe multivocality, looking at some music in Tanzania. You see, so all of that kind of give us like a roadmap to what is coming next in the body of that chapter. And if you look at some of the readings you've been doing, for example, the Higgins chapter you have read, and in fact, even Articulate While Black, Joseph John's work on language and politics. All of these works are kind of structured in a way that you see like a subtopic. So, for example, we are looking at English, the hegemony of English, for example, maybe in Kenya, for example. You can say that you can come up with a short subtopic under the big topic and say the hegemony of English language in educational sector. And so based on that, you move on and describe your thoughts. What are the claims you're making? And for you to make any claims, remember all of those claims, you describe them, you develop them in paragraphs. And each of these paragraphs, you start each of those paragraphs with a topic sentence. A topic sentence is a sentence that gives me the entire idea that you're talking about. And mostly, a topic sentence is usually not very long. It's usually between a short and medium sentence so that your reader is not lost in between. So for example, for that subtopic, you could say something like English language as being the language of instruction in most Kenyan schools. And this is problematic considering, and this is problematic in the sociocultural context of the nation itself. Then what do I want to see under that? What makes that problematic? What are the issues that are there? Do you have examples, maybe from the policy document of the nation, or do you have examples of languages that students produce in classroom that you're able to lay your hand on to help us see how what is done in the classroom is different from what the experiences of speakers are in the sociocultural context? And then narrow it down to help us see the problem you're talking about, that there is need for us to begin to challenge the status quo. While, of course, we have that history of colonialism in Kenya, in which, British colonized the nation. However, for how long would a multilingual nation continue to wallow in that precedence that is set by English? What kind of expectation should even be set based on the narrative of the history of English language use in Kenya? Is there a need to even revisit the policy, or is there a need to look at practices of classroom and the expectations that are attached to it? What should be deemed appropriate and that which should not be deemed appropriate, especially based on the experience of language users in this school environment? You see, all of this would engage your reader. And if you have another point under that subtopic, you narrow that down, you say whatever you want to say there, and then you move on to the second idea, another claim that you're making. These claims are supposed to be your personal opinion, your own analysis and thoughts about the whole topic you're looking at, about the whole topic you are interested in, about your research goal actually. So when you are able to do this, then I can now read through it and say, oh, wow, this is really interesting. Yes, I like your perspective. So that is what that is. I'm going to share a document that we also have on course file with you. So in this document, you see some of my annotations about how, a writer tries to give us that insight into language use, into an academic paper, the body of an academic paper. So I believe you should be able to see my screen right now. So right now here, you see that if you look at what I am doing here, so this part is part of the literature review. So for our class, we don't necessarily need an abstract, okay? But the abstract of a paper gives you a summary of the overall idea and the goal of the paper. And that I have already seen in your thesis statement. So you don't need to write something like an abstract that is, separate, but I'm just showing you this so you know that you know what this author is trying to do. However, this section is the introduction, which is more or less the literature review um, um, section that you already did. And so this person gave some historical background in his literature review. If I gave comments on your literature review that you should use historical background, please go ahead and insert that where they need to be, especially when we are talking about ideas that we need to know some history to. It's good you give that. However, this is where the body of the paper starts. Look at this place. This article, I'm reading this article will firstly discuss some of the main influences on and associations of the dialects to Stistar. Findings will then be presented which evidence these themes within the Cape Town data. To conclude, the implications of the findings of the research for local identities and the relationship between global youth culture and local style will be considered. This is the roadmap I was talking about when I started this video. So at the end of your literature review, you want to give us a roadmap of what to expect in the body of your paper, and look at how this writer is beginning the body of his paper. American influence, global identity. So the identity and style of the Tutsis of Sophiatown were historically influenced by American cultural forms. Full stop. That is a topic sentence. And here this guy is drawing his topic sentence from a quotation. Yours doesn't have to be that. It could be your own way of thinking through the idea you want to talk about, but just make sure it's specific, it's concise, and then whatever you now write after this should be describing the topic sentence you started with. So all of these ones that he did here now are building on this main idea, explaining them, giving us instances, and letting us know his own opinion and view on that comment that he started with. So that is how to go about building the body of an academic paper. Remember your citation style. Make sure you use the appropriate citation style. If you are not clear, go back to the MLA citation document. If you have any specific question, please feel free to reach out to me. I am happy to guide you, but make sure you also read them. Look at those materials so that you help yourself understand academic writing in this class. So once you're done developing 2 or 3 big ideas that you want to talk about, you don't need to have a conclusion yet. So you'll be doing your conclusion and everything by the end of this class. But right now, what you're going to be focusing more in the development of the body of your research is of your paper is to come up with the ideas and claims. Don't forget the feedback I gave for your literature review is for you to rework that literature review section. And then I gave some of you some insight on things that you can discuss in the body of your paper. Look at those and see if that is what you want to do. If you have a different idea, that is totally fine too. But my feedback is to guide you in some way. And based on this video, draw on that to structure your own, paper, your own claim, your own idea that you really want to talk about, that you're really passionate about. And I look forward, to reading all of those fantastic ideas that you have. And don't forget, lastly, the comments you're going to also be getting from the feedback on your presentation that everyone is going to be commenting on. Um, Draw on all of those feedback. Make sure you read them, all the questions your classmates are asking you or that they have already asked you. Look at them and see how you can incorporate the one you find very useful to your paper. It is not compulsory that you have to bring everything, but based on, ideas that you find, yeah, this is really helpful. I wasn't thinking about that. Oh, maybe I should also read that and all of that. Yeah, see how you can incorporate that to also make the body of your paper stronger. Feel free to come to my office hour if you have any question. Email me or schedule a time that works for both of us so we can discuss further as you continue to work on your paper. So all the best with your writing.